Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's the Hi-Fi Brothers.
And today we're going to talk about the SVS Ultra Evolution Pinnacle Towers.
Let's do this. Welcome to today's episode, everybody. But yeah, we got an exciting video for our viewers today, Ralph. We're going to be talking about the SVS Ultra Evolution Pinnacle Towers. I know it's a mouthful. But yeah, we got a lot of to talk about today. We're going to highlight a bunch of things. We're going to highlight tech specs. We're going to highlight the sound quality, how we've been using them, and just a bunch of other important information for anybody who's probably looking to buy these speakers.
Absolutely. No.
And just a quick disclaimer. So SVS did send us these speakers to review, provide our honest review, and we want to do that to our viewers. All right, Ralph, well, let's go ahead and start. Let's start the video by talking about the our first impressions in the unboxing. Yeah. So I'll let you go ahead and speak about your experience, because when we got these delivered, you helped me to unbox these. So go ahead and tell our viewers the experience.
Well, when we first got the boxes, bro, I mean, these things were tall. I mean, they're literally about up to my neck. The weight of these things, we had a hard time. This thing is 112 pounds per speaker, believe it or not. When you look at the drivers on these things, I mean, they're beautiful. The curvature on the speaker looks really nice. When you look in the back of the speaker, you're noticing that there's two woofers, one on the top, one on the bottom. Basically, it's a push-pull design almost, and gives you a good amount of bass, man, which is awesome.
Yeah, Ralph, and to be fair, we did an unboxing, and we released it as a YouTube short. So if you go back on our channel and you watch our YouTube shorts, you'll see the unboxing there. But yeah, it's a very heavy speaker, like you said, 112 pounds each, so it's not very easy to move around.
No.
The other thing, though, is that I absolutely love the piano gloss white.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
It's such a great color. I know it comes in the black as well, but for anybody who wants something to stand out as part of the centerpiece of your home theater system, the white is probably the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also did want our viewers to know, we actually did a video a while ago on the SVS Evolution Towers.
Yes.
And I know it was quite confusing because we actually had a lot of people leave comments. They're like, hey, are these the Titans or the Pinnacles?
Right.
And we kept saying, no, these are just the regular Evolution Towers.
They're the smaller ones.
I think that's important to call that out, is that there's actually three versions of these towers that you can get. So there's the Evolution Towers, which is the smaller ones. There's the Titans, which is actually the mid-range towers.
Yes. And
then the Pinnacle, which is the ones that we're showing here, which is the biggest, the largest, and most expensive part of the three. So if you're interested in watching the video on the smaller ones, just the regular Ultra Evolution Towers, I'll put a card above us right now. And I would watch that, because I think they were pretty good speakers. Well, all right, Ralph, before we move forward in the video, I thought maybe we can get a quick spec rundown of the towers.
Let's do it. Pretty awesome tech specs, bro. Why don't we get into the sound quality? Why don't we get into the rundown of the speaker?
Yeah, so I actually got the speakers first. We configured them, and if you watch the unboxing video, you notice that I crammed them into like a little cubby space.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do something very similar to what we did with a previous review that we did on a different branded speaker.
Right.
Is I wanted to test these speakers out in different room types. So I plugged it in the speakers first in my, I call it the playroom or game room. And it's a pretty small room. It's like an 8 by 8 by 10 or maybe a 10 by 12. So it's pretty small. I pushed the speakers as far back into the wall in that cubby space. And you'll see it here. It was too much. And this is not an ideal situation. I would not be able to live like that. But this just gives viewers a good idea. Like if you have like a small apartment room or maybe you have your home theater in your bedroom, these are definitely not the speakers for you.
No way.
So I'm just going to call that out right away. So then what I did is I moved the speakers out into my actual TV room.
There you go.
Now that room is, I want to say, closer to a 12 by 16. So a little wider, and it's definitely a lot deeper. So these were a little wider, so I was able to get the speakers far off to the sides as I possibly could, which I want to say was maybe around 10 to 11 feet. And then I was able to pull them off the wall a lot, which is actually what SVS recommends. If you go to their website, you'll see that they actually recommend a little bit of a gap of about 2 feet from the wall because of the backward firing drivers that are back there. When I hooked it up in this setup, it was a world of difference. I wasn't getting the humongous bass, too much bass. The soundstage was incredible. Just overall, the sound quality of these speakers were great. You can definitely tell that they're large towers. You're getting a lot of sound that was coming out of it, and it was doing great. I did not hook up a center channel. I did not hook this up as a traditional surround sound system. I literally just hooked this thing up as just a 2.0 setup. So from just that stereo setup, I can tell you that I was getting really good, clear dialogue from the center of the viewing space.
That's awesome.
Which is fantastic. That really just tells you that curvature that SVS embedded into these Ultra Evolutions are working the way that they're intended to. But yeah, I mean, it was great. And, then I called you up and I was like, Ralph, look, you have a better home theater setup than I do. Your room is actually a lot wider than mine.
Yeah, wider.
Let's push these babies out a wider. I can't do it with my TV space. Why don't you go ahead and tell our viewers about your experience with these speakers?
Well, like I said, like I was telling my brother, it was a struggle for me to even bring these upstairs in my room. But I finally got them up there, took them apart, placed them next to my Arundel's. And these things literally are taller than my Arundel's. And I'm like, and my Arundel's are sitting on feet, believe it or not. And like you said before, my room is kind of bigger. I have a 25 by 15 wide space. And I tell you what, like you said, bro, these things like have so much bass in them. It's ridiculous. I'm like, is my subwoofer even on? And like I said, I disabled my subwoofer and these things produce well enough below 20 hertz, which is insane. I was playing music, I was watching movies and stuff like that. And like I said, the imagery on these are really, really nice. They're fantastic. With the time alignment, the baffle that they have, the bass, the mid-range, that tweeter that we mentioned about, it has like an organic diffusing phase alignment. Which is actually really good because it doesn't have any tinging into it, which was a problem with the other Ultras previous generation. These ones improve it. Yeah,
and actually that's good you brought that up. So again, for our viewers, if you're a subscriber, you probably already know this. If you're new to the channel, so Ralph had the previous generation of the Evolutions.
Yes.
It was just the flat design. It wasn't the curvature ones. All right, Ralph, that's pretty awesome, man. So let's get into some final thoughts. Absolutely. And we have a few things that we want to provide to our viewers here.
Absolutely.
So the first one is, and I know this is going to come up in the comments, or it would come up with the comments if we didn't talk about this, is how do these speakers compare to other towers in its class, like the Arundel's that you have, the XT2s that we actually did from Emotiva, and maybe some other ones that we want to call out.
Compared to my Arundel's, that's up to the listener, to be honest with you. I like my Arundel's a lot, and like I said, those produce a lot of bass on them as well. These produce even more bass, and they go down further. One thing I've noticed about these speakers is that they're a little bit less efficient. They're about 89 decibel. My Arundel's are about 92, so you're getting a 3 dB gain on the Arundel's. From what I've experienced and what I'm listening to, I prefer my Arundel's over these. Honestly, these speakers are awesome. They're really awesome speakers. Now, what are your final thoughts on these, bro?
Yeah, my final thoughts, they're incredible speakers. I think you're right. I couldn't really give the opinion of which one is better speaker. I think it's just going to come down to brand preference,
Yes.
price point, and then overall, like what you're looking for. I know with your Rendals, all the drivers are in the front. These ones, you have about, half of the drivers in the front, and then you have some that are in the back. Again, they do that for that dynamic bass. So if that's something you're looking for, primarily in tower speakers, then the SVS is going to be your winner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, just to summarize it all, I would just say that, these speakers are $2,500 each, so $5,000 for the pair.
Yep.
Definitely puts them in that class of large tower speaker.
Absolutely.
In the, the 4,000 plus price range, which is compared to some of the speakers that we've reviewed on this channel. And their overall have been fantastic. So for anybody who's looking to get into the large tower speaker realm, this is I don't think there's anything bad. There's nothing more that I could recommend about
Absolutely
these speakers. They're absolutely great. But you know what, Ralph? I think that concludes our video.
Absolutely. So make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification button.
And as always, keep it hi-fi.